sure everything's fired up here. Let's see if we can't do some stuff with real shoots in DebRecovery. Oh, I totally named that wrong, didn't I? Whatever. Ain't nobody here yet anyways. So it's just talking to yourself. That's not embarrassing whatsoever. Oh, excellent. Alright, well, at least I got that part working good. Okay, so for the playback video later, I'm going to go ahead and do a session on DebRecovery and some real shoots mixed in, since you may or may not know what DebRecovery is. When 0.24 came out for Kerbal Space Program, let me turn the sound down over here so we can't hear myself hearing myself. There we go. Alright, when 0.24 came out, they introduced the new career mode where you actually had to make money in Kerbal Space Program, and then you would spend that money to go into space. Cool, you know, not bad. They got some contracts in there. You can, I don't know, fly a turbojet engine to the moon and land it, and they'll give you a couple dollars for confirming the fact that the turbojet engine does in fact not work on the moon. But they also give you some other things like get into space, get your forced orbit, rescue a guy from orbit, collect science from Minimus, land on Duna. There's all sorts of contracts that they included in the stock game with 0.24 that will get you paid. So I'm starting this off over here in my career mode, where I actually do get paid, and you see right now I have about 2.46 million Kerbal bucks, or whatever. They're called funds, Kerbal bucks, dollars. Apparently they're represented by a, what is that, a square root sign? Something like that. A wacky looking square root sign. I don't know where they got that from. So anyways, the thing is, as you launch these rockets, not every rocket you launch is an SSTO. And so a large number of rocket parts, which cost rocket part dollars, get dropped back to the Kerbin. Hey, what's up, Adam? You're the first in the channel. I just saw you in the chat over there. I'm doing a Kerbal Space Academy program about DebRecovery and real shoots and not going broke. So I was just explaining that you launch things up in 0.24, you stage your rocket, big old rocket parts costing costing rocket dollars fall back down, and they either impact the surface, meeting a fiery demise, or they're removed by the garbage collector. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the Stephen King, The Langoliers, where the big things come and eat things when they, I guess, get too far behind. But basically in KSP, if stuff goes out of physics range, 2.4 kilometers away from your ship, and it's in atmosphere at an altitude of less than 23,000 meters, it gets cleaned up by some magical force that just makes it disappear. When that happens, you actually lose all the money for that parts. It doesn't matter if you put chutes on them, it doesn't matter if you have wings on it. It doesn't matter what you do in stock KSP 0.24, you're just out that money. The good news is, a mod developer named Vendin came up with a freaking awesome mod called DebRecovery, not Debbie Recovery, but Debris Recovery. And what that does is when things get removed from the game because they leave physics range, his mod steps in and catches them for you. And what he does is he determines whether or not you had enough chutes on that part that's getting cleaned up to land it safely. And if you did have enough chutes to land it less than 6 meters per second, it will actually give you a large percentage of the money back in funds. I'm not going to say just like real life, but as intended, recovering those stages, reusing them, all good times. So, long story short, you launch a rocket that cost $1 million, say $700 million, Kerbal bucks, funds, whatever you want to call it. Say 75% of that cost was your lifter stage. Normally that would fall, you would lose it. $750,000 down the drain. That's freaking lame. Install DebRecovery, put some chutes on the part, and you can recover a percentage of that money back. All it really means is that you have to fly less random part missions, you have to plant less flags on the moon, and you have to return less temperature scans from the orbit of Minimus to get paid so that you can continue to launch rockets. So, without further further ado, I'm going to go ahead and actually start to do this stuff. Let me go ahead and check the chat before I get going to see if anybody else showed up. See if there's anybody to welcome. Hey, quite a few people. Adel42, you always show up and you're very quiet. Welcome. Big Nick's here. Chainsaw Face. What's going on, Chainsaw Face? And Adam, who I already said hi to because he was the one who waved frantically in the chat. Not really. Hi Valdez, exclamation point, how are you? Question mark, that's not really waving frantically. So I do not do him credit by portraying him in that light. So anyways, I have a couple examples here on the screen already. I've learned how to make myself not have just black thumbnails whenever I start something up. So I always try to build something in the game and then fire up the game before I start the stream so that whatever I have on the screen is what's in the thumbnail. It's like Twitch advanced usage. So what I've got here are two Kerbal bats standing for a big-ass tank. And I've got the number of shoots that it would be required roughly to return the tank down to the ground safely. On the left you got your stock shoots, where basically I've just spammed 8x symmetry with the stock radial shoots times 4, so that would be 8 times 4, 32 shoots on the left. On the right we have 8. We've got 8 actual real shoots. And instead of spamming, maybe you're worried about part counts, maybe you're worried about expense, instead of having to spam 32 shoots on your stage to recover it safely, with real shoots, you can spam much less shoots, and it's actually got a calculator on it that helps you calculate. It's almost like procedural shoots, right? So it can make the parachute bigger or smaller based on the needs of the rocket. I'll go through that. There's an interface. You tell it how heavy the rocket is, what meters per second you want it to land at, what the chute's made out of, yada yada yada, all sorts of cool fancy variables, and it will procedurally configure the chutes such that it returns your rocket. So that's enough of this. We're gonna start playing around and see if we can't get some things recovered. Now, I am in my real save, my actual career mode, my Evolved Easy save, which means that I'm using real money here. We're not playing with Monopoly money. This is real money from my real save. So as I recover things, I'm going to be reverting some flights. I am going to be leaving some flights non-reverted. But basically we're going to go through a lot of demonstrations since I had the cash in the bank in my save here to show what happens when you actually recover this money. So let's start building some rockets and flying them. That's too much talking, even if you have 2 bats on the screen with tons of shoots spammed around them. Ham and Eggs, what's going on, Ham and Eggs? Welcome. We're doing a Kerbal Space Academy session here. Also, LaxCore, looks like LaxCore showed up. So, unlike last night when we were doing DOS free play, I'm going to be doing an actual educational sort of deal. But the good news is it's education that gets you paid, much like education in the real world. Stay in school, kids. Let's see here. Let's get rid of all this stuff. I don't need to save this. But let's see here. We're not going to launch small rockets. We want to launch... Well, let's start with some small rockets. Let's say we wanted this guy. Super boring. He wants to go to space, though. We want to get him to space without spending too terribly much money. You can already see, geez, just the pod cost us $600. I really hope that we can get that back. In stock KSP, when you grab this and you land it on the surface with some chutes, and you got your little Kerbal guy in it, and you recover it, it actually gives you a percentage of the money back, based on how far away you land from KSC. So this part, we don't have to worry about. We don't really need DebRecovery. We don't need real chutes for this. But the rest of our rocket, which does not exist down here, you can see because it's totally empty, we have to worry about. So let's build us a quick little orbiter here. It's not going to be that big of a deal. We can put one of these things on it. I don't know, maybe one of these little, where's the 909? The 909 hasn't been getting much love lately, so we'll put a little 909 on it. That is probably going to be buku thrust away. Let's see. Just slapping together a little guy here. Whoa, nobody needs that many engineering chips. There we go. Hey, 897 meters per second. That's atmosphere, though. Meh. 1167 meters per second. That's not too bad. That's enough for us to play around in orbit. So we'll go with that. We're going to need some power on it. All the typical things that we put on a little orbiter when we're going to orbiting, just like we do in Orbiting 101. I'm gonna go ahead and put this up here. Don't want to mess up the sponsors' logos. So we'll put it up at the top. Actually, you go. Whoops, nope. You go away. I haven't been giving these much love either. Look at that. That guy can stay in orbit for a while. And we'll go ahead and toss some little solar panels on it. Again, have not been giving these much love. I think I'll connect them straight to the battery. That makes more sense. Less wiring. The prongs on the outside of the solar panels just go straight into the battery. How are we doing? 1100 meters per second. I like it. I can go around and around and around with that all day long. We're going to need a little chute. And for this one, I'm just going to use a stock chute because it's easy peasy. And we all know that the Mark 16 parachute was designed to recover this pod. That's why it's this size. Adam, I saw your message over there in the chat. That's awesome. About going to the science fair project. I'll talk more about it off the stream. So if you need some help or something like that, you need me to read and see how we can figure out. I mean, it's a freaking travesty that you don't have a science fair in your school. You should have a freaking science fair. So I'll get caught up on that later, since we're in the middle of a Space Academy session here. So anyways, here we have a little super simple orbiter. He's going to have about 1,000 battery juices. Yes, that's cool. He's going to have just north of 1,000 delta V, so we can play around in orbit a little bit with him. Not going to make it to the moon, but we can do some orbital flippities, that sort of stuff. We got the 909, give it a little bit of love. Kerbal Engineer, tossed on there. I love Kerbal Engineer. Link down in the channel description if you like it. Not if you like it. You know something? Forget that. Get the link down in the channel description and use Kerbal Engineer because it will be awesome. It'll make you a lot better at flying the rockets. Let's do, you know, I don't even know the last time I've put one of these ladders on a craft. So I want to put this on here too. Maybe not on both sides. But Valdez, you say? This says something about real chutes and DebRecovery. Not, not building an orbiter 101. Whatever. Let's continue on. Let me grab a little stage separator. Excellent. Chute. Why would I want to pop the chute at the same time as the... That makes no sense. Ah, yes. There we go. When we decouple that, we're going to fire the engine. We'll play around with the orbiter like it's in a little sandbox. Let's build some more rocket. It's going to take us almost nothing to get that into orbit. But let's see here. I am going to go through a couple demonstrations. Let us start with a kicker stage. Kicker stage is what puts us the rest of the way in the orbit. And for kicker stage, I'm going to use that little fuel tank and probably an LT-45. Yes, there are much more efficient ways to get into orbit, but I'm demonstrating something here. I've got reasons for building the rocket this way. So let me put another stack decoupler. You there, go with that. Let's put moss explosion juice down on the bottom of it. Where are you at, explosion juice? Come on. There we go. Let's make it bigger. Yes, we could put just the smaller thing down there to go to space today, but let's make it look like this. A little bit more interesting. A little stubby fat rocket on the end. And skipper? Will skipper do us? Wow. That's so much more delta V than we need. So much more thrust to weight. So much more everything. Oops. But I'm in atmospheric mode. There we go. Again, remember, Kerbal Engineer, when you're designing your lifter, put it in freaking Atmo mode, or you will not go to space today. 4115-2826. I like it. This makes me happy. Let's do this on our kicker stage. Add a little bit of control authority. Don't these things 15 versus 8? And the cost is different, 1200 versus... Yeah, we're demonstrating. So let's put this thing... I don't even know the last time I've put that on a rocket. It's been quite a while. Let me get caught up with chat here. Question. That is an apt name, since you actually asked me a question. So what is this rocket for? We're doing a Kerbal Space Academy session. We're going to talk about not going broke in career mode by recovering your stages using DebRecovery and real chutes. Danthus, I'm just trying to get to Kerbal Space Program. Played several patches ago. Had differently of my more difficult objectives. Danthus, if you told me what the objectives were, I could definitely give you some advice on how to do it. In fact, I can go over to the mission control and maybe grab some of the objectives you're trying to complete and see if we can't complete them as part of this DebRecovery thing. Because it would be good to have actual missions that would make us some money while we're screwing around here with DebRecovery real chutes. So, If you have any more specific suggestions, toss them over there in the chat, and I'm happy to scope creep the mission here. Give us some actual useful things to do. So for now, I will continue speaking about DebRecovery. This rocket, do you think we could put it into orbit on a poodle? 8.6 negatory. It's not going to work. But 2.44 on the thrust to weight on the launch pad. That is freaking mad thrust to weight. Remember, whenever we launch, we usually try to shoot for 1.7. 2.44 will definitely send us to space. 3.41 is even better. And 2.44, wow. What are the chances that those two things would be the same? Who knew? Anyway, so I've got a rocket here. And first, we're going to add some of these launch clampium bobbers to it. We just need two. We don't need too many. Yeah, okay, KSP. That really looked like I wouldn't be able to do that. Let's see here. Let me do my checklist before we go to space. Everybody in the chat, I'll also give it a minute. If I forgot something, tell me. I am known to forget things. We've got a control, place for the Kerbal to sit. I've got power. I've got fuel. I've got the engine to use the fuel. I've got power generation. I've got a chute to recover it, and I'm decoupled. There's room for Kerbal in here. You know something? Let's toss a science experiment on there. Actually, yes, let's do this. We will start with this. I've already completed this objective, but let's say that we, let's do some mystery goo while we go up. That changes my design of the solar panels a little bit. Alright, we'll put the solar panels up here. Like ears? Kinda looks sad. Little sad, droopy ears. And let's grab some mystery goo. Excellent. Mystery goo containment unit. Now we have something to do on the way into space. How are we doing on Delta V? 242, barely changed it. 3949. We're good to go. And let me check the lander is 899 with those 2 units on it. That's fine. That's enough to play around with. Let's see here. So while I wait for some things to come in, see if I've missed anything else here. Fuel time. Add the career mode. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Definitely what we're talking about here is the career mode adds a lot more objective-driven environment. So in the mission control, they give you things to do, like test this booster on the launch pad, test this this decoupler when it's in orbit, that sort of stuff, and they'll actually pay you to do it. So if you successfully complete the requirements, you get money, which will add to your funds down here. I got it in the lower left corner. And if you screw it up, not only do you lose the cost that you spent on the rocket, but you also have to pay a penalty. Because a lot of times they'll give you kind of a little bit of a booster fee. Anyways, right now, I'm going to start writing some things down. We're going to start launching this rocket. Where is my nifty notepad? Right here. Love me some graph paper. So the cost of the rocket is 19,552 on the pad. And we're going to see how much of that we get back. Let me see. My starting funds are 246,7094. That's where we're sitting right now as we launch this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And again, I have not put any chutes on this. I haven't really done much of anything other than built the rocket so we can get this little orbiter into space. So we're going to go up to space, go around space, come back down from space, land, recover, see how much it cost us. So save, launch, and let's go. Yeah, I'm catching up with the chat there. It definitely makes it so that in the game there's objectives that you complete. It'll actually tell you what the objectives are. You can always make up your own fictional objectives. What's going on there? That doesn't make any sense. You can always make up your own fictional objectives, but they won't be represented anywhere in the game. So you can say, I think I'm going to land 20 dudes on the moon. You can do it. You can do it in the game. The game won't care. You won't get anything for it. But that's kind of all you used to have. Now you can, hey, Jeb. What's up, Jeb? Now it'll actually give you information in the game so that you can complete the objectives. Kerbal Engineer link is down in the channel description. I definitely recommend downloading it. I use Kerbal Engineer out the wazoo. I don't recommend going to orbit without it. Ooh, where is my new mod? I installed a new mod. Ambient light adjustment, thanks to our buddy Blizzy on the forums. I was getting ready to zoom around to daytime. Ah, look at that! Wow, that's actually kind of cool. But for the purposes of streaming, I can brighten it up so that even though it's nighttime, you can still see what's going on. Blizzy is awesome. He made not only the toolbar before it existed in the game, but he made this ambient light adjustment things, amongst a couple other things. So, wow, that's awesome. Blizzy, if you ever see this, thank you for what you do. Being able to bump that ambient light up is freaking killer, especially for streaming. Without further ado, SAS engage. We don't need RCS. Panel lock. Jeb's good to go. Fuel is there. Oops, that staging is wacky. We don't want to drop the rocket on the ground before the engine's actually lit up. Let's throttle up. I'm only going to put it about 66% throttle. Instead of 3 marks in the middle, there are only 2 marks, meaning it's 33% increments, not 25. Not sure why they did that. But 66% throttle. I think we're ready to go. I didn't see anything over in the chat that I forgot. So, let's go launch. Look at that. That was a good guess. I wanted to be 1.7 on the launch pad, and flight engineer's telling me that I launched at 1.6 using 66% throttle. So that was a good thing. That was kind of a good guess there. When you first install Flight Engineer, since there's a couple Danthus, I'm actually going to do some I'm going to do a stream on how to install mods. I'm just going to have to set up how I stream my Windows session instead of the Kerbal Space Program game directly. At the end of the day, all it really is dragging file folders. If you know how to unzip something and you know how to drag a file folder around on Windows, you can mod Kerbal Space Program. I mean, install mods that other people have created. So I'm going to do a stream that's like a 0 level stream that's just how to install mods, because I know there are some people out there that have trouble doing it, and that one should be a super simple one. There were 5,160. That was fine. I know that if I launch with 1.7 and I just fly upwards, I'll typically pass 5,000 meters going about 160, which is our atmospheric efficiency. Next checkpoint's going to be 10k meters, and we want to be going about 260. Looks like that's going to work for us. 8, 9, there's 10, just over 260, 265. We begin our gravity turn. I know I'm narrating this for people who have been here before. Every time I do a launch like this, even if it's not a session on going to orbit or anything like that, I'm still going to narrate it. For people that didn't see those other sessions, it's just good things to get ingrained in you. So remember, my next checkpoint is 50,000 meters. When this reaches 50,000 meters, I'm going to turn and burn so that I get a lot more orbital velocity. Instead of going higher, I don't want to go higher. I want to go faster such that I miss the planet when it's turn. So there's 50. Let's turn and burn. Go with as much orbital velocity as we can. 30, we're getting up out of the atmosphere. I like it. Stage 1 gone. So, whatever the cost of the parts in that stage, they're dead to us now. We're never going to get that money back because I did not put chutes on it. And again, we're going to see exactly how much we lost because we didn't take the time to put some chutes on that rocket. So let me go ahead and burn this guy up to 80. There's 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. Stick a fork in it because we're done. Go plan our orbital maneuver. So I'm going to come over here, put a node on the apoapse, add maneuver. Precise node, I love you. Put me directly on the apoapse, please. Mas delta V in the prograde direction. There we go. Now watch. There's a periapse. Now watch for the flip. I always say watch for the flip. What I mean, this is going to flip with this. The periapse is going to flip with the apoapse marker when they're even. So here comes the flip. There's the flip. So as soon as they flip around like that, you can look over here. That was 81. Periapse is still 80. Good enough for government work. 79. 79. 79976 and 8610, close enough. So we've got our node planned for our circularization burn. We'll go ahead and point down here at the... Wow, this thing, sweet. So snappy response. I guess it's this thing, the thingy we put on there that no one ever uses. I think they did rebalance it or something a while back. Could fly a ship to the moon with no problem. Have you ever watched... I really recommend... I wish I had a link. Have you ever watched the actual footage of the moon landing? I mean, those guys were PhDs. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, they were the smartest guys that somebody had strapped to a rocket, I suppose. But so much of that approach to the moon and the final landing, they just had to make it up. I mean, it was all about improvising. They had a little gradient scale on the window, and they could time how long it takes a rock to pass the little ticks on the window, and that's how they knew how fast they were going. I mean, so much of it was just kind of smarts. I'm not a PhD. I'd like to believe that I could fly a lander to the moon, but I think that's a little... it doesn't quite do them justice. Anyways, 21-second burn. Half of that is 10 seconds. Add a second. At 11 seconds, we'll spool up. And we'll do our insertion burn. It says I've got 650, and it says I need... Wow, I can't even read those numbers fast enough. It looks like this kicker stage is going to die just as... Wow, I just need to put the numbers next to each other. I cannot... They're almost exactly the same. Now, I don't want the kicker stage to go into orbit. What's my periaps? 64. Bad, Valdez. Super bad. I screwed up. I burned the kicker stage a little bit too much. I don't want to put space junk up here. So I'm going to burn retrograde until my periaps drops into the atmosphere. Hey, now. How much delta V? Oh, no! Poor planning. That's not suborbital. Well, we can make it suborbital. We'll have to clean that space junk up later. And we can help it a little bit by ejecting it retrograde. Like this. And then I need to go ahead and circularize my orbit. What am I at? 80 and 62. Ditch the node. Fly it by the seat of your pants. Burn straight prograde until this number gets... It's going to be close, but because we weren't burning right at apoaps... because we weren't right at apoaps, we're not going to get a perfectly circular orbit. So anyways, let's go ahead and do a goo experiment. I'll be darned. Wow, I'm actually going to get some science for that. Mr. Goo observation while in space near Kerbal. Cool. We'll keep it. What else? I think I just put the goo on it, didn't I? Yeah, let's recharge our batteries. So stage these solar panels. Stage the solar panels. That's not the right term at all. Extend the solar panels. There we go. Point towards the sun. Oh, look at that. Yeah, you like how they're angled in? Yeah, it's like a solar oven. They're trying to heat up the chute for re-entry. They reflect a little bit of the solar energy onto the chute so that it doesn't freeze. I don't know. Making it up as I go along. We've definitely got enough fuel because I've got 871 meters per second. My little orbiter guy is just about full up. But yeah, we just wanted to come up here and do the science experiment. Again, that stage, here we go. Actually, DebRecovery is going to tell me that stage is dead to us. And if you look up here in the notification bar that comes straight out of KSP, we can click on this notification. We see a DebRecovery notification. It says debris hit hard with a red exclamation point. That's a bad thing because when you click on it, that means that the debris hit a lot faster than you could ever recover it. I think it caps it out at 100 meters per second. Maybe it hit harder than that, but the calculation just says 100. And you can see all the money of this. 400 plus 500 plus... about 5,000 plus the skipper engine, which is 2850. I mean, what's that add up to be? That's 7850 plus 900. So 7850, that would be 8750. So $8,750 dead to us. We don't get that money back. It's gone. DebRecovery said, idiot, you crashed it. You didn't put any chutes on it. Also, that stage there, because I screwed it up, that stage there is not going to disappear from DebRecovery. It is in a orbit that is not technically stable since the periapse is under, I guess I can't select it, but the periapse was in atmosphere, but it's not below 23. So Kerbal Space Program doesn't clean that stuff up unless the orbit's periapse is under 23,000 meters, 23 kilometers. Since this guy's periapse was something like 48, he's going to continue to orbit, and it won't get recovered. So anyways, that was our own, it actually says debris, how about that? So that was my mistake, talking too much, flying not enough. Kerbal Space Center, there it is. We're going to try to land near Kerbal Space Center. And since I've got the awesome Blizzy scene, let me go put it here too, Blizzy's ambient light changer. Wow, you can actually see where Kerbal, I mean, stock in the game, what did they say? It was 6%. And on your game, it may look like this, where you can't really see the continents. You can see them on my game because not only do I have the city textures installed, so you get some lights, but I've also got beacons put down. I've got my runway beacons, Whiskey and Echo there on the runway. I've got the Kerbal India launch beacon, and I've got the deorbit beacon there. But normally, you may have had trouble where you can't actually see where KSC is. You have no clue where to land. I put down beacons. That used to be my solution. An awesome solution now is to brighten things up with the ambient light mod from Blizzy, and then you can see where you're going. Wow, that's awesome. Good deal. So I'm going to go ahead and orbit around here and plan this deorbit. We have lots of fuel left, which means we have lots of delta V. We have very good thrust to weight, so that means that we can do a little bit more aggressive deorbit burn. So I'm going to deorbit here just off the coast of Kerbal, Asia. Set my deorbiting so that it touches the deorbit beacon. Just about like that. That's still going to be way too high. What is that, 132 meters per second? Alright, we'll go ahead and put it in the middle of the ocean. Like that. Again, we're guest testing and revising. Let's see here. So, orbiting around, we're going to see how much this wacky mission cost us to get this little goose science. Node in 20 minutes with a 9-second burn, you can see down there. So that's a 5-second burn, basically, when we bracket our burn. Let's fast forward till it's time to do the burn. I'm still pointing at the sun, aren't I? Yeah, I got a full electric charge. While I orbit around, I'll catch up with chat. Touchdown in the game. Neil from Ohio. Yep, I did pack enough fuel. Already talked about that. A cool video. That'd be interesting to do in a stream. You'd almost need to have it set up as a LAN party sort of thing where both people were at the same location. I'm not sure if you can merge two streams from two different locations, like have two people sign up and have like a build challenge sort of thing. You could stream them concurrently in different channels, but I think it'd be really cool if they were kind of split screen with guys in each channel. Would probably be really confusing if you could hear them both talking at the same time. Huh. Something to write down and think about for future reference. So anyways, let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit more till we get to 5 seconds. We can do our deorbit burn. There we go. Oh, oh, well, we can burn with the solar panels out, whatever. Quick, get them in. Alright, do the burn. And here comes our deorbit burn. Just burning straight retrograde, going slower so that we cease to miss the planet. That's how we go home. What did I just totally screw up? Yeah, I just totally screwed up. I made a huge mistake. I set the node, and then I did not reset the node when it was Kerbin rotated out from under me. Duh. So we need to burn more to put that back in the middle of the ocean. Like that. Alright. That's okay. Luckily we had extra delta V. Yeah, it would definitely be easier if you did it on YouTube, kind of like a post-production sort of deal, where you splice the things together. Or just two separate videos hosted on YouTube. I've seen that done in Minecraft a lot, like the quick build challenge, where people will come up with a theme and then have to build something. So let's see here. Goo. Does this give me any sort of special thing because I'm now suborbital? While in space near Kerbin? No, reset that. Close that goo container. So let's go ahead and fast forward on down till we start re-entering. And here we go re-entering over Kerbal, India. I'm going to run one more goo experiment before we hit the bottom. I'm also going to flip around backwards like this. Let that engine with its nose cone take the brunt of the heat. Wasting a lot of electric charge by flipping around. Whatever, Jeb likes it. Check him out. Look at his mouth when you go bullet mode. Alright, here comes Kerbal, Africa, the location of the Kerbal Space Center. We're going to fly this puppy. Now do I get a different goo experiment? Let's see. Observe mystery goo. Upper atmosphere. I'll take it. I'll keep it. Now we did 2 goo experiments. And let's cease time warping so that we can do our reentry burn. There we go. Here, can I get closer so you can hear it? This is not a reentry burn. Oh, wow. I have a feeling we're going to fall so far short of the Space Center, so I'm going to burn upwards. I'm not going to burn up like, oops, my craft has burned up. I'm going to burn vertically so that I can hopefully land. What's my altitude? 21. That's way down in the soup. At least I want to clear the mountain range. And again, we had extra delta V, so let's see what we can do. There we go. Let's see how that degrades. About the only way I'm ever able to deorbit right there near Kerbal Space Center is to bring extra delta V. So at least I'm going to clear the mountains. That's good. I'm aiming for the Space Center there. I have a feeling right now I'm going to fall short. But we'll see. That certainly makes it look like we need to burn north a little bit. That's okay. Let's go for range instead of latitude. Latitude? Longitude? Which one is it? Somebody tell me in the chat there. I can't remember. Something about the shape that your mouth makes when you say the word. That's all I remember. Burning straight up again. Continuing to fly. I like it. I like this trajectory. We're going to be a little bit short of KSC. But I still like it. I think I'll put the rest of my fuel into burning. And we'll see how it goes. Just give me as much as you can. The end. Alright, now we land where we land because we're out of fuel. No more delta V means no more control authority as to where we go. But anyways, I think at least maybe we're going to miss that populated area or land in downtown intersection, whatever the thing is. I think I'll get it to within 25, maybe 20. Yeah, just look at that. Look at that arc degrade as the atmosphere removes our velocity. It's all good. I'm going to wait till I get down around, let's call it 5,000, then I'll pop the chutes. Lateral, just lateral side latitude. Thank you. So that's the little stripies that go horizontally around the planet, right? And then the longitude are the lines that go up and down the planet. Oh yeah, parachute. Honestly, it's been a very long time since I've been in school and needed to know that information for a geography class. And as a computer programmer doing CRM solutions. Oh, look at that, 16.6, I'll take it. I did not need to talk about latitude and longitude very often, except as it referred to positioning and mapping, like how far away from a point it was, but that was all third-party stuff that did the work for us. Don't tell anybody. We didn't program things from, wow, 9.2 meters per second? Ouch! It must be those goo containers or something. We don't have anything we can eject. Oh well. Oh, we're going to lose the engine at least. Oh, I should have had the Kerbal get out. Well, oh well, if we screw up, we screw up. The pod will definitely survive. The goo containers will definitely survive. They have 12 meters per second impact resistance. I think this guy's only 6, so he's toast. We just didn't put enough chute on this little craft because I added all this extra junk. I think namely the pods, which added about 0.3 tons to us. So let's see here. We're going to hit the ground. We're going to lose some parts. Oof. Yeah, just the engine. Alright. Our bad. Whatever. So let's go ahead and recover this guy, see how much we got back. Recover vessel. Okay, so from here, woohoo! Call the freaking news media. We've returned 3.9 sciences. Whatever that means. Here's our recovery. So, like I was talking about in stock KSP with the 0.24 update, it gives you your money back on the craft that you recover. Not the stages you ditch, but the actual craft that you click recover on, based on how far you land from KSC. So since I'm only 17.4 kilometers from KSC, I'm getting 97.2% of the part value back. And then stock KSC goes through and says, alright, part value 571, blah, 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 blah. It calculates the percentage, and you can see that I recovered 4,670 funds. So let's write that down. 4,760 funds. 60 funds? 4,000. Hello, dyslexia. 670 funds. So anyways, there's our funds. 4. Let's see here. 2, 4, 5, 2, 6, 1, 2 is our ending funds, right? So because this mission, what was it? 19,000 to launch. It cost us 19,000, and we recovered of that 4,670. I cannot read because I scratched that out. 4,670. That means that mission cost us about $15,000 that we wouldn't get back, right? 4,670. $15,000. So our cost to execute the mission was the launch cost, 19,552, minus, let me get my trusty dusty TI-83 out here, 19,552 minus 4,670 equals 14,000. So the mission cost us $14,882. No bueno. That means that, what was the number I came up with? That was about 75% of our launch cost was wasted. We don't like that. We don't want to waste the launch cost like that. So now we're going to go through and see if we can't invoke DebRecovery. With this mission, I will go ahead and use stock chutes. We're going to use stock chutes to recover this stuff. And then we'll go over what the problems with the stock chutes are and how we can make it better. We had issues here because that thing fell off. However, I'm not going to change it so that this engine blows up again and we have a valid test. At any event, we'll have to subtract the cost of that engine because that was our fault for not putting enough chutes on our little lander. So let's do this again. This big stage down here, we need to recover it some way. Stock, there are a couple different ways that you could do it, although you never really knew if it was going to work. All you could really do would be guess, test, and revise. So one of the tricks I've used in the past is to grab the radial segment, where you at, this guy, the radial attachment point, and done this sort of deal. So I put some radial attachments on there, I go to utility, I grab my stock chutes, the XLs, and I put them like this. So, does it look like a real rocket? No, it looks like the rocket has some sort of tumors growing on it. Fortunately, it's not a tumor. It's just parachutes, and we're just trying to land this. I don't know if that's enough or not. DebRecovery is going to tell us if that's enough or not, but in stock KSP, without real chutes, we have no way of knowing if this stage is going to get recovered or not. I'm going to do the same thing for this, but I'm going to put chutes on it a little bit differently. I will slap 4 radial chutes on it. Is that 4? No, that's 3. I will slap 4 radial chutes on it like that. So, this is a total setup. If I had to guess, I don't think this is going to land soft enough. I definitely know that this is going to land soft enough, and this guy's going to come down at 9 meters per second and crash again. So let's see how this works with DebRecovery. I'm going to do the same math that I did last time. Wow, I wish I had like a scratch pad or something. That would be awesome if I had a something you could see on the screen with a little what were they called? The wave pads, where you could write, like the drawing pads, and you had the little stylus and it would show up on your screen. Huh. That would be awesome if I had a little side window I could open up and show what I was writing down. Let me write that down for future reference. Writing window. I could just layer in an Excel file, I guess, but nobody wants to watch Twitch TV and see Excel files on the screen. Oh, he didn't even get out. He didn't even go get on that ladder or anything. Whatever. Alright, let's fix the staging here. We don't want those down there. We want it here. We want these 3 chutes to deploy when we separate that stage, which occurs right here. And we want these 4 chutes to deploy when we separate this stage, which happens. Okay, so those are correct. And that's the last chute. Notepad. I mean, Notepad would work, but I was thinking it was called a wave board or something, and you had a stylus that was plugged into your computer, and you could write. It's like a touchpad a bigger touchpad that you could write on with a stylus, and it would actually transfer it onto the computer screen. So you could actually use it for drawing or whatever. Instead of using the mouse, you had a pen-looking thing, and you would write on a sensitive touchpad surface. That would be pretty cool for jotting down stuff. So anyways, let's go out. Are we still going to go to space? Wow, adding those chutes. I can get it to space. I'm going to have a whole lot less. Jeez, I'm going to have a whole lot less delta V because I've added the chutes. Also note that the cost of our craft has increased. This is interesting. So now the craft cost, our old craft was 19,552, and our new craft is 28,652. Interesting. And our starting funds here are 2452612. Number two. Let's launch this thing. Go to space. We'll save this one. We'll launch this one. I can get it into orbit? Oh, wait a second. What do you mean? I just clicked on that button. Don't you crash KSP on me. There you go. Don't you crash KSP on me. So our rocket is actually a little bit more expensive. Let's see if that additional expense balances out. Being able to recover those parts. So here we are on the pad. I'll fire up my Kerbal Engineer. Throttle it up. I think we're going to need a little bit more throttle so we get that 1.7. I'll adjust it in real time after we fire it here. And panel lock, SAS engaged. Oops, it was already engaged. Let's go ahead and light this candle. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, 1.7. That was just about right. Let's go to space. Is that first digit an 8 or a 0? Where was that number at? That first digit an 8 or a 0? I had 28652 is the cost of the craft, and 2,452,612 as the funds before we launched it. Those were my numbers that I wrote down. So do we have enough delta V? Remember, we were only at 4,200 delta V. But remember, this fuel is going to be used more efficiently. This fuel is going to be used more efficiently. Watch. The delta V increases for those other stages as we carry that fuel up out of the atmosphere. For the money. Thank you for that very specific question. For the money. For which money? I don't know. Need some context. Don't know which money you were talking about. But yeah. 28652, cost of the craft 2452612. Better pay attention here. I got a orbital maneuver to make, or a launch maneuver to make. So 10,000 going 260. Start the gravity turn. There's 10,000. Speed 269. I saw, and we're going to go ahead and do our gravity turn. Lean it over gently to 90 degrees. Just kind of pull in the screen with us. Remember, we pull the prograde marker and we push the anti-prograde marker. When we're docking and stuff, we use anti-prograde a whole heck of a lot. The green thingy with the X through it. And when we're launching, we use prograde a heck of a lot, the green circle with no X through it. So again, letting this get up to 50, turn and burn. This stage is just about out. There we go. Ditch it. What's our thrust? That's fine with me. I can deal with about 2 thrusts there. 54, turn and burn. Now watch this. That part there, we're getting away from it. When that's 2.5 away from us, it's going to disappear, I think. Nope. It's going to have to go back down below 23,000 feet because we ditched it above 23,000 feet. So again, I'm turning and burning up to 80,000. So the altitude of that thing is still above 23,000. When it goes below 23,000, DebRecovery is going to pick it up, and we should get a notification up here. I'll watch it, but it looks like it's still going up. It hasn't ditched all of its velocity yet. There's 80. Nope, come on. 80, close enough. Let's plan that circularization node. Put it on the apoapse. Add maneuver. Go ahead and put it prograde. Wait for the flip. No, that's not what I clicked on at all. Wait for the flip. There's a periapse. There's a flip. 89. Geez, that was quite a bit of a flip. 79.4 and 80.0. I'll take it. No, you don't have to deploy the chutes manually. You just put them in the same stage that will release that part of your rocket. So you see that I had those staged. Like in this one here, when this decoupler fires, these chutes are also going to fire. You can see that right over here. There's that decoupler, and there's those chutes. So you put the chutes in the same stage as the decoupler that will release the piece that you want to catch. There's that part way back there, but it definitely looks like it's going down now. Let me line up my burn. 84, 85. It definitely looks like it's returning to Kerbal. I think we're going to see it disappear. It may be hard to see in the stream, but look at it fall. Orbital view. I don't know if I can do it fast enough. Show me debris. Just debris. There you are. Alright, check it out. See, there's its arc. Altitude 29. I gotta watch my node too. 27 seconds with a 9-second burn. Alright, it's gonna fall. Wow. No, I'm gonna need to do a 9-second burn, so T-minus 10. We have 10 seconds to watch this. Watch it disappear. There you go. When it went under 23, you saw it disappear, and we got this up here in DebRecovery. Well, I'll be shucksed. We'll come back to that in a second. I have a burn to execute. Let's watch it from this angle. My thrust to weight's going to be different. There we go. That's okay. Same news with that piece. We just ditched that piece. When it goes under 23,000, it's going to get recovered. So as soon as I finish executing this burn, we'll go see what DebRecovery says. It's like that. I want to click that email message, but I got stuff to do. There you go. Alright, so now we're in orbit. 8176, close enough. That's orbit. And let's go see what DebRecovery said when that lifter stage disappeared. DebRecovery says, landed safely. Wow, I did not think that those 3 stock chutes were going to be enough. Who knew? But check this out. DebRecovery says debris landed safely. Debris was landed safely at 5.64 meters per second. Here's all the parts you had. It actually calculates how far away from Kerbal Space Center those parts were going to land, just like you had actually... well, that's something that happens, Adam. Ditching a stage that goes into orbit, creating space junk. I try to avoid it every chance I get, but it definitely happens a lot. So anyways, DebRecovery recovered all these parts for us, and instead of losing that entire stage, we got 12,639 funds back. Go ahead and write that down. 12,639 funds. Like doing your taxes, we don't care about the cents. If I hadn't put those chutes on there, yes, this stage would have cost a little bit less, so we wouldn't have needed this 3750. Wow, those radial attachment points are pricey. I never noticed that. Whatever. And we would have saved just about $6,000 on that stage, but we wouldn't have gotten any of this back. And I guarantee you that the 15% that we didn't recover is not what the extra cost is going to be. So, is that other stage back down yet? No. Anyways, you can see all this stuff here. In fact, I've never actually tested this, but I think that it recovers science too in talking with Vinden. I think that if you had some science pods on there and DebRecovery caught it and it could be landed safely with chutes, it would actually recover the science for you, which is kind of cool. It's almost like a fire and forget. Say you've got something like we were doing yesterday, Kerbal Space Academy, something in the orbit of Minimus, you put it in a return trajectory that's going to impact Kerbin. DebRecovery's on, it's got chutes on it, you forget it. Just go do something else, and whenever it hits, DebRecovery will notify you and say, hey, Valdez, guess what? Got some science for you. Found the pod. Check it out. That's pretty cool. I've never actually tested it myself. But we're done with this. Let's go ahead and close this. Where's our other thingy? Let's go and see if we still have our orbital view that's showing us junk. There's our other thingy. Let's watch it go around. Can I set it as the target? Look at that. That makes it stay for us. That's pretty cool. So, it's not going to let me pin its... Yeah, it just works with apoapse, periapse. This is going down. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward us so that we can watch that thing go down. But let's watch this thing's DebRecovery results as well. There's 26, 25, 24, 23. Poof! Disappears. Luckily, our friend DebRecovery caught it. See what it says. Debris landed safely. I love it. Landed at 4.39 meters per second. That number, that means that we had too many chutes on it. The cutoff is 6 meters per second. So as long as we land it under 6 meters per second, DebRecovery says that you landed it safely. If you land it under 10 meters per second, it will give you a partial, like a lot less percentage. That stage landed a lot further away from KSC. Remember, it had that big arc, and it spent quite a bit of time. So it landed over here in this other ocean, well past, I believe, the launch beacon debris. What? That's weird. Anyways, it landed way over here in this other... Let me zoom out now. Interesting, you can't zoom. Let me zoom out. That piece landed over here. Our lifter landed in coast of KSC. That kicker stage landed over here, quite a bit further away from KSC. So when you look at this, we actually got only 65.9% instead of 85 for that lifter stage. Good news is 65.99% is better than 0%. So we recovered about $4,000 that would have been completely lost to us in the first place. Wow, those chutes are pricey, $2,800. Let me write this down as well. 3970. 3970. Trusty Dusty TIA3 says that so far we've recovered 12,639 plus 3970. We've recovered $16,600 that we wouldn't have recovered if we didn't have DebRecovery installed. That is 10,000. What is 16,000 percentage of 28,000? Just north of 50%. I'm going to call it 60%. So that's 60% of the money we would have just lost. Instead, we had DebRecovery installed. We put chutes on our stages, and we recovered that money. So, last thing to do is to... I gotta fix my map before I forget. Back to showing me everything else. Don't show me the debris. This is a cool trick. It took me a while to learn this. I'm getting this bar up at the top of the screen just by hovering. Just because I got a hover up here, and that'll actually bring down this bar that lets me right and left click on different things. So as I left click, I can add or subtract just that thing. And when I right click, I can only subject, or I can only do these things. So right-clicking on this little bar, again, you just hover up at the top. Right-clicking it will only show you debris, only show you ships, only show you Kerbals, only show you stations, whatever. Left-clicking, now I can do show me the landers and the ships and the stations, don't show me rovers or probes. It's really helpful whenever you have a clunky... I mean, look at my orbits here, right? A little bit dirty here in career mode. But when you have a lot of stuff flying around, finding what you're looking for, just hovering over this little thing at the top of the map screen is a huge help. Let's see. Anything else to do? I almost don't even need to charge my batteries. Why do I need to charge my batteries? How am I generating fuel? How am I generating electric charge? Who knows? We'll just extend that one and it'll get some sunshine. We've talked about that. We've talked about that. That's what I was doing. Setting everything back. There we go. Okay, so this dirty orbit, we're going to want to deorbit again, try to get near KSC. Last time I set my deorbit here and I totally messed it up. Let's see if I can do it without messing it up this time. So, deorbiting right to the launch beacon. This time, before I do the burn, I'm going to come back and fix it. Burn in 17 minutes 55 seconds. Let's scroll around the planet. Wow, I have too many things in orbit and it's physics hiccuping every now and then. Or it's calculating hiccuping every now and then. So see that planet rotating out from under my node? That's where I screwed up last time. I'm just going to get up to the node and then I'll move the node. And stop. Alright, let's move the node back up to the coast. Excellent. Let's make sure the landing is still near... that's close enough. Last time we were way short. I really need to put a beacon out in the sea or something just so I can do the same thing every time. But it's so dependent on craft drag, the number of pieces you have and the mass of each piece. Alright, back to the craft. Burn in. Solar panel. You're not doing anything. Burn in a minute 45. Let's find our node. There we go. Excelente. And that's going to be a 3-second burn to bracket our node. Start at 4 seconds to spool up the engines. Let's fast forward. And there we go. Close enough. Start that engine at 4 seconds so it gets time to spool up to max thrust. There's 5, there's 4, fire up. Execute deorbit burn. And stop. Stop. Alright. Let's check from the map. There's our deorbit flying over Kerbal Space Center. I still have pretty good amount of fuel, so I may need to correct that a little bit. We'll see when we get down there. We can also pop the chute. While we're re-entering here, after I do this, I'm going to go ahead and get caught up on chat. So if you have questions about anything I've done so far, about DebRecovery, about the new career mode with the funds, about reel shoots, I'm going to cover reel shoots next. But if you have any questions, type them over in the chat. I'm reading the chat. I'm happy to respond. I do these Kerbal Space Academy streams so that I can answer people's questions. This is just my kind of way of giving back to the Kerbal Space community because the game is so freaking awesome and there's so many people that enjoy playing it. And I think it's totally cool to both get a chance to play the game, which is what I'm doing right now, and give back to the community by answering some questions. Hopefully some people learn some things. So don't be shy. Type it over in the chat. Ask me questions. I'm going to read the chat here, see if there's anybody I don't know. Adel. Always spying on me, Adel. Adam, Chainsaw, Danthus, Ikiban. Welcome, Ikiban. Haguruma, welcome. Master Vice T, seen you before. Laxker, I got you earlier. Mr. Jinja. Saw you last night when we were flying things through rings. So anyways, nobody has to be shy. Feel free to say things over in the chat. I'm not going to make fun of you. If somebody in the chat does make fun of you, I've got special buttons I can click. Maybe not to electroshock them in real life, but at least to teach them not to make fun of my people who have questions. Anyways, let's go ahead and fast forward back to our re-entry here. Now that I've run my mouth for a significant portion. Alrighty. And I want to watch this time. Let's see how our orbit degrades. We're in the atmosphere. We're losing momentum slowly at first because the atmosphere is not very thick up high, as you can see from our atmosphere gauge here. But more and more quickly, we're going to lose momentum, especially once we start. Wow, that seems so high. I feel like I'm going to totally miss KSC. Let's see here. Let's do that. Let's ditch off as much Delta V as we can, but it's just not going to make that big of a difference. Maybe if I burn straight down. Yes! No, I want to land now! Let me land now. I don't have time for this. Okay, that looks a lot better. That looks a lot better. Yes. Yes, I like that. That looks a lot better. Let's just put the rest of our Delta V into it. which was not much, admittedly. Interstellar drives. Haguruma. Interstellar drives. Do you mean drives that are included in the Interstellar mod? Is that what you're using to call interstellar drives? Or do you mean just stock drives that you can use to do interplanetary transfers? Clear that up for me there. I'm happy to answer that. In fact, one of the Kerbal Space Academy streams that I'm going to do later this week is going to be interplanetary trips. Look at this. Come on. Come on. Oh no, I don't feel like, I wonder if I should pop the chute right now and get extra drag. Dang it, I didn't even land on the land. That's okay. Maybe I'll be 16 kilometers on the other side of KSC. As soon as the flames stop here, I'll pop my chute and try to slow down as much as possible. In real life, we don't deploy chutes going 700 meters per second. In Kerbal Space Program, meh, it's okay. I'm not sure what the delay is there, so I'm gonna no, but I have that mod. I mean, stock drives with nuke rockets. Yes. Oh, we can definitely. I am definitely going to do a stream later this week where we talk about going interplanetary and we talk about things like the nuclear drives, what's good about them, what's bad about them. If you give me a follow, you'll definitely get a notification when that one's coming up. That will be a Kerbal Space Academy stream, so it's going to be kind of in the evening U.S. time, right around probably a little bit earlier than we've started the stream here. So I'm going to be trying to do those streams after people get out of work and school, but before dinner and bedtime sort of deal, as opposed to the late night fun sessions where we crash flying brooms into rings and that sort of stuff. In fact, I will go ahead and do that one tomorrow. I'll schedule it for you right now because I hadn't put the schedule together yet. So tomorrow I'm going to call it 6, 5, 4, 3. No, that's too early. 8, 5. Yeah, let's call it. Oh, there's a chute. 8. I'm going to say 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll go ahead and do the Kerbal Space Academy Interplanetary session. So I'll get that set up tomorrow. All right. Good deal. I think we're still going to lose. Yeah, we're still going to lose that engine on the bottom. Hopefully we don't lose more because we're landing here. We've already checked DebRecovery, and we'll see what we get back on this. Yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we'll be doing that. So lose the engine. Oh, we lost the fuel tank too. Oh well, that fuel tank didn't cost too much, I don't think. But this is going to cause a slight problem because our craft fell apart when it landed. We're going to have to recover these things separately. So anyways, hey Adam, no worries on the school. Definitely go do that. Probably, I'm not going to grade you on this, so it's probably more important to stay up to date with regular school as opposed to Kerbal Space Academy. Don't think that you can put attended Kerbal Space Academy on your resume when you're trying to get into college and that sort of stuff. So no worries on the actual school times. Let me recover this thing, and we're going to have to perform addition since we lost that tank as well. A slight problem in our experiment there because we lost a part that we didn't lose last time. So I'm going to recover this puppy. No science. How sad. I didn't even run the goose, did I? Whatever. Said we got 2692 funds. So 2692 from this, but wait, there's more. We also have 2 other pods. What is its Kerbal Space School? Kerbal Space School, Kerbal Space Academy. If you're asking what I'm doing, I call it Kerbal Space Academy just because that's what I name the sessions. You know something? No. I totally think, I will break what I'm saying, and I totally think that you should put, if you're applying for things, you should put Kerbal Space Academy on the resume. And I'll tell you why. Because showing an interest in a topic like that Not just that you're playing the game, but that you had interest in aerospace or space, orbit, physics, whatever you're looking at. If you show additional interest, that actually means something on everything from resumes to to job applications. I honestly filled out a job application a couple days ago where I'd be doing after-school programs. That's later this evening, Zorangi. But I put a job application in so that I could do some after-school programs doing like science experiments, launching rockets and stuff in real life after school for kids who didn't have anything else to do. I included screenshots from Kerbal Space Program on the application for that job, and the person that interviewed me commented on it. They're like, "That's so cool. What is that game? Wow, that looks like something that's really interesting." And I spent freaking 30 minutes talking about Kerbal Space Program and how cool it was. So, no, I'm not going to knock that you shouldn't put things like playing Kerbal Space Academy. I mean, should you put, "Hey, I logged 1,500 hours getting headshots in, Battlefield 3. Maybe you shouldn't put that on there, but Kerbal Space Program, things like Minecraft, you could definitely talk about things like that in applications for college or job interviews or whatever. It's all about showing interest. I'm so interested in stuff. Check it out. This is how I'm interested in it. Recruiters eat that up sometimes. We have to, what I was doing was recovering those other two things. They're going to be marked as debris, and it's going to be these two that are splashed down. So let's recover this. Drat! It didn't give me how much I got for that. I gotta fly it and recover it from the button. Let's see here. I've got to recover it from this, and then it should give me the amount that I got. Then I'll multiply it by 2. Adam, get some sleep, man. Thanks for hanging out. The other one's already recovered, but if I click this button... Oh, no, it's not going to show it because it doesn't have a probe core. Ah! Drat! Well, that's my own problem. Experiment fail. But we can look at our funds. Where are our funds at? Here we go. 2445222. 2445222. That's our funds after the mission. Trusty Dusty says 2452612 minus 2445222 equals cost of the mission $7,390. Cost of our other mission was $14,882, so we saved just about $8,000 by putting those chutes on there and using DebRecovery. And that's honestly pretty cool. We were doing it with kind of smaller rockets, smaller stages, just for the purposes of demonstration, but we saved 50% of our sunk costs on that mission that we're not going to have to go and plant flags and decouple radial decouplers flying through the atmosphere to get that money back. That's freaking awesome. I like it. So again, the first test, if anybody's who's just joining us, we did a first test where we launched a rocket, and launching that rocket cost us about 15,000 funds. We didn't DebRecover anything. We didn't put chutes on the stages. Let me go to the VAB so you can see what we're talking about here. We didn't put chutes on the stages, so DebRecovery said they died in fiery death, and we did not get that money back. Oh no. Untitled spacecraft. What? I guess I reverted the last flight or something. No, I couldn't have reverted the last flight. Where is it at? What was this stream even titled? Real chutes and DebRecovery, so it's going to be in the R's. There we go. Alright, so anyways, here's the rocket. The first one we didn't have the chutes on it. We went and launched it. It cost us 15 grand. We never got that money back. This one, we're using the mod called DebRecovery. We put the chutes on it, and this launch cost us half as much. It only cost us $7,000 as opposed to $15,000. So we saved about 8,000 funds just by installing DebRecovery and putting chutes on our pods so that we could recover them. It would have actually been a little bit better than that because I destroyed this fuel tank on accident. My bad. Landing in the ocean. I don't understand. Clearly, 6 meters per second crash tolerance. Blah. Whatever. Last I checked, water's a little bit softer than rock. Not too much if you're going fast enough, but it is a little bit softer. So anyways, we've done that, and now I'm going to talk about not DebRecovery, I'm going to talk about real chutes and how we can, instead of using these stock chutes, use reel chutes, and hopefully, maybe those reel chutes will cost us a little bit less money. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Again, I got this written down. Yeah, number 2. Cost of this rocket was $28,652. So let's remove the chutes. Gosh, these things, those are so expensive. So reel chutes, one of the coolest things about reel chutes, you've got some of the same sorts of chutes. You've got these radial attach chutes, just like I had up here. We can put them on in symmetry. Those are reel chutes. I'll show you how to program them. We also have different nose cone chutes. So I've got a nose cone chute. That one looks super huge, but I can actually change the size of it. I could replace this one with a reel chute. In fact, I am going to replace that one with a reel chute. There's our radial attach chute. And we also have this freaking axial chute. So this is designed to go in the middle of a stage so that you don't have to have chutes sticking off the side. This one is the one that you don't get in stock. Yeah, we got this one. Yeah, we got this one. We don't have one of these puppies in stock. So let's see what we can do. Clean up my VAB. You there. I'm going to use this chute first, and we're going to put it down here. So one of the tricks, we'll put that there. Notice how that's not good? What we need to do is go to action groups over here, and if you're in your action groups mode and you click on a reel chute, it'll bring up this reel chute parachute editor. So again, I went to action groups and I went to click on the reel chute. So see, if I'm clicked off of it, I don't get that. If I click on it, I do get the reel chute thing. Anyways, I put that down there. What I'm going to do is go ahead and click next size, and you can see that it's made that chute a lot bigger. That's cool. You can actually scroll through the sizes. See, there's one for all the different sizes, some little teeny tiny chutes. There's your mid-size chutes. There's your big chute. That's cool. Go ahead and go back off of this, attach the bottom of our stage again. How cool is that? Now the trick with this is we've got to program this reel chute, right? Since reel chutes is procedural, we have to go and say, all right, reel chute, I want a parachute that's this big, yada, yada, yada. Here's how we do this, and I'll explain some problems with it. To do it, we get back to the reel chute just like I did. Click on action groups, click on your reel chute, and here's where we can set all the presets. My target planet's going to be Kerbal. We've already done the part size so that we get that bigger chute. Case texture, yeah, whatever, that just changes the colors. Chute texture, that basically terms out if it's what color is on the chute. Single chute, triple chute, not worried about that. You can change the material, I'll come back to that. All sorts of things you can do, deployment timers, parachutes, blah, 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 autocut speeds, whatever. This is the important part down here in this little window. What you do is you come down here and you say, all right, I want the craft touchdown speed to be 6 meters per second, and I'm using 1 parachute. When I do that, that was the default setting. I click apply settings, it's gonna complain at me, all right? Reel chutes says, well, all right, 1 parachute. Can I land the craft that chute is attached to using the largest parachute possible, putting it in this 1 chute module? And it says, wait. Mass of the craft was too high and the parachutes have been set at their limit. Please review the stats to make sure no problem may occur. That's not good. But let me tell you what's up. My game music's way too loud? Is it way too loud right now? Talk to me over there in the chat. If the game music's too loud, I can definitely go and back it off a little bit in the future. That's the first I've heard anyone say that the game music's too loud, though. So let me know over there. Anyways, Reel Chute was complaining. The problem is, it tried to see if it could land the craft that the chute is attached to using the largest chute it could put in there. What craft is the chute attached to right now? It's attached to the entire freaking craft. The whole thing. It tried to say, alright, could I land this entire craft, soup to nuts, with the chute in here? The problem is, that's not what we want. We don't care about the entire craft. We just need this chute to land this segment here. So how do we do that? Well, in order to do that, we have to remove the rest of the craft. That's a problem, because you don't want to be changing up. Let me hop back over here. You don't want to be in here screwing with your lander just to get the reel chutes for this stage, and then repeat that all over. It's loud, it's too loud. So I've got 2 for correct music volume and 1 for it's too loud. I don't think Yeah, I can't change it from this scene, and I can't use the Windows mixer to change, well, I could. Let me go do that right quick for you. Tell me if this is a little bit better. Mixer. Wow, KSC is already turned way down. Alright, I just backed it off a little bit. What I may do is go into Kerbal Space Program itself and see if I can't fix it there. I did back it off some for you there, Haguruma. So anyways, we were saying, Real Shoots was confused. It was trying to land the entire craft with this, just this. It said, whoa, no can do, boss. I can't make that happen. How do we fix it? Here's how I fix it. I save this craft. I go to subassemblies. I take off the bottom part of this, make a copy of it basically. Hey now, what's going on? Oh yeah. Hold down Alt, click that decoupler. Now I have a copy of this thing here, and I'm going to drop into the subassembly drop zone. We're going to say this is, I'm going to do it KSA Real Shoots Lifter 1. Real Shoots Lifter 1, yes. Excellent. So I've saved that in the subassembly over there. I'm going to make sure this craft is saved, and I'm going to clear the VAB. Give me a blank slate. Yeah, I got through all the rings. I got through the one that was dropping, and I got through the ones that were on the launch pad. If you look at my channel, there are highlights in the channel from both the success diving through the hoop and flying through the static rings on the launch pad. So, we're tuning that chute. I need a root part. I'm just going to use a root part that weighs almost nothing, such as, give me a battery. The smallest battery, 0.01. That's fine. I'm just going to use this as the root part so that it doesn't really screw with our stuff. That's the root part. I'm going to go to subassemblies. I'm going to go to KSA. Where are you at, KSA? There we go. KSA Real Shoots Lifter 1. And I'm going to put that on the bottom. And I'm going to take off the launch clamps. Like that. So now the mass of this entire thing is only the part. Yeah, you are correct if you use Alt to duplicate. Yeah, that is a thing that happens, Soul Wager. It's a totally annoying thing. In fact, a lot of times if you don't use Alt to move things around, the struts and the fuel lines can get screwed up as well. But that's a good point. So anyways, we're over here. We're tuning this Real Shoot. Again, we just want it to land this. We don't want it to land the whole shebang. Go to Action Groups. Click on the Real Shoot. We're going to do everything good, except we're going to come down to the calculator, and we're going to say, alright, now, 1 touchdown speed, 6 meters per second, parachutes used, 1, apply settings. See, this time I didn't get the... I already turned it down a little bit, Higuruma. I will have to do that whenever I get out into a different scene. But I will do it. I don't want you not to be able to hear me. This time we didn't get the warning saying that it couldn't do it. That's because Real Shoots is perfectly capable of landing this stage by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and click Close. I'm going to go back to Parts. I'm going to take this and replace my subassembly. Is it on this screen? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, K, Real Shoots Lifter number 1. There we go. Alright. So I've got my lifter. I'm going to put it in there. Do I want to overwrite it? Yeah. Tuned with Real Shoots. Save. Overwrite. Good news. Let's go back to our other thing. We're going to do the same thing for the other shoot. Sorry, for the other stage. So, what did I save it? I need to prepend all this stuff with KSA so that I can find it. Real Shoots and DebRecovery. Load. So let's load this craft back up. Let's get that other stage. So we don't need this. And that other stage is going to be this right here. And I will go ahead and go to the subassembly pod. Subassembly drop zone. We'll put it in there. Save subassembly. What did I say? KSA kicker number 1. Or I think I just put kicker 1. KSA Real Shoots kicker 1. That was our kicker orbital insertion stage. Save. Let's go ahead and... Yeah, okay, I got it. Put it back over here. We don't have to save this rocket. Let's just go ahead and clear this. Hop back over to the other place. Here we are. Same story we did last time. Little teeny tiny, very small mass part. Subassemblies. KSA Kicker 1. There we go. For this one, I'm going to use the radial attached chutes. So I'm going to put these like this. I'm just going to use 2 of them because they're real chutes. And I'm going to tune them the same way. I'm going to go action groups. I'm going to click on the chute. And I'm going to scroll down to this. This time, this is important. We're actually using 2 parachutes. We attached 2 with 2x radial symmetry, so I had to change this parachutes used parts to 2. In addition, maybe this is just me being weird, but I typically like to put 5.5 there. With DebRecovery, if you recover it under 6, you get a high percentage of it back. If you recover it over 6 meters per second, like 6.1 meters per second, it only gives you like 10 or 20% back instead of 80 or 90% back. So I put 5.5 in there. That gives me a little bit of in case the stage deorbits over a mountain range or someplace where I don't quite have the thicker atmosphere to slow me down. So I type 5.5 there. Parachutes use 2. I typed that because we've got 2 parachutes on there. I'm going to leave it the same size. I'm not going to change the size. And I'm going to, yeah, all that other stuff is good. One other interesting thing, by default, Real Chutes says currently using dry mass. That's awesome, because this stage is going to be dry when we deorbit it. When we kick it off the back end of our craft, this tank's not going to have any fuel in it, so we don't want to have the mass of all this put together. We want to have the mass of this with no fuel in that tank. By default, Real Chutes assume that that's what's going on. See, currently using dry mass, and it says switch to wet mass. You can do that if you want, if you're going to be landing something, say on the surface of Duna, where you're doing a lander that's also going to take back off, and you want all the fuel to be in that lander. When it lands, you can tell Real Chutes to use the wet mass instead. Anyways, we've got 5.5, we've got 2. What we want to do down here is, instead of apply settings, we want to apply to all symmetry counterparts. If we click apply settings, that's only going to put these settings on this left-hand chute. It will not apply it to this. However, if you click apply to all symmetry counterparts, that's going to put the symmetry on both of those chutes. That's useful. I like it. Save. Success. We didn't get a red warning. This thing will land how we want it to land. We go ahead and click close. Awesome. We repeat the same thing. Sub-assemblies. KSA, Real Chutes Kicker 1. Let's take it. Let's put it back over here like these. Again, tuned with Real Chutes. Save. Overwrite. Good to go. We go back to our other craft. D Studios. Welcome, D Studios and Haguruma. No worries. I definitely always look for feedback on the channel. I am a new streamer. I haven't been doing this forever. So if there's something with the stream, the quality is lousy, or you can't hear something, the engines are too loud, never hesitate to tell me over in chat, and I will try to address it for you. So, like I said, not gonna bite. Going back to Real Chutes here. Real Chutes and DebRecovery. Load. Okay, good deal. Now, remember, we put those items into the sub-assemblies. We've put those sub-assemblies in the sub-assemblies. That's probably what I should say. But we haven't replaced them on the rocket here. We still have one thing to do, and that is land this guy. So let's go ahead and take these other things off, knowing that we've already saved them in sub-assemblies. And I'm going to take this chute off later, and we're going to use a real chute up here. Here's a nose cone chute. That looks ridiculous. In fact, that chute is the size of the craft. Now, I don't have to create a sub-assembly here, and I don't have to put this in another clean area, because the only thing on our screen right now is this craft, and this is the craft that we want to deorbit. So I'm going to go action groups. Again, tune that real chute. Click on the real chute. We can go previous size, and we can get smaller. Whoa, that's not right. Went one too far. There we go. So there is the Real Chutes nose cone in the proper size for this craft. I'm going to go ahead and go down here. Want a touchdown speed 5 meters per second. Extra safety buffer. Let's see here. Anything else? We're only using one. We're good to go with the mass. Let's do apply settings. It says good to go. There's no red warning. Let's see here. Close. And what else do I have to do? This craft performed beautifully. This should land at 5 meters per second. Let's put those other pieces on. So, back to my sub-assemblies. Let's grab that kicker stage. Let's grab that lifter stage. We toss them all together. We also need the launch clamps on the bottom. 2x symmetry. Done deal. We're not touching the bottom. Yes. Let's make sure our staging is correct. So, launch clamps and main stage. Check. Decouple and reel shoots for main stage. Alright, well, that's not right. Decouple is up there for some reason. And reel shoots for main stage is right there. And this engine is right there. Okay, cool. Then we need this decouple. Alright. Shoots for secondary stage. Okay. And orbiter engine. Okay. And then lastly, the reel chute at the very top of the rocket. I'll take it. I think we're good to go. So, let me go ahead and click save here and get caught up with chat right quick. How do you balance your wings on a gigantic space plane? D Studios, I'm going to be doing a stream later this week on space plane balance. Balancing your wings is no different whether it's a huge plane or a small plane. It's all about where your center of mass is and where your center of lift is and how the fuel affects your center of mass. Later this week, call it Wednesday or Thursday, I'll be doing a Kerbal Space Academy session on spaceplane design. So if you want to follow or find me on the forums, I guess I need to really get more organized with that, like put a programming schedule up. You can definitely attend that session where we talk in depth about balancing spaceplanes. So anyways, yeah, keep posting questions like that over in chat. You may come up with something that I haven't planned to stream and I could put together a course on it. This guy's good to go. And here's one of the really cool parts. Remember the cost using the stock parts of our craft was 28,600 credits. Using reel shoots, the cost of the craft is 21,000 credits. The cost of our original craft that had no shoots on the other stages, the lifter and the kicker, that cost was 19,500. So basically, we've added just under 2,000 credits to the craft, the cost of the craft, but we're going to get a lot of this back. So let me make sure we have enough delta V to go into orbit. Yes, I can make it happen with that. Make sure we're in atmospheric mode. Yeah, I can definitely make an orbit with this. Our delta V has been changing because of the mass of these reel shoots. Not only does it change the reel shoots size of the chutes inside, it changes the cost of the part and the mass of the part based on how big it needs to make that chute. Why am I doing that? That's just OCD. I wanted to put that there, and then I wanted to put that there. I don't know what order, why that makes any difference. Did I just screw up my staging? No. Okay, so anyways, let's record some data for our experiment here. Cost of the craft is 21221. Starting funds, we already wrote down. It is 2445222, and I've already got that there. So that's number 3. That's number 3. Excelente. Let's get this guy into orbit. Save it. Launch it. And loads it out to the launch pad. Let me drink some delicious Dr. Pepper. Wow, there's no slogan on this can. I was totally going to read their slogan off the can. But apparently all I can tell you is that it has 23 authentic blend of 23 flavors. And it was established in 1885. I can't tell you anything else about Dr. Pepper. Sorry. They really should have put a slogan on the can if they wanted to read it on air. Note to Dr. Pepper. Anyways, here's old Jeb. We've been guessing right around here for the throttle. Let's panel lock, SAS on. Yes. Jeb, ready to go. We're going to launch, and we're going to hope that our thrust to weight is guessed correctly at 1.7. So without further ado, 3, 2, 1, go to space. 1.8. That was too much throttle, so I'll back it off a little bit. There we go. All right. While this goes up, let me check the chat, see if there's anybody I haven't said hi to yet. Chainsaw Face, Denthas, Ikebun, Hagaroon, Alexco, Reaper Texas. Hey, well, what's up, Reaper Texas? Soul Wager gave me some advice earlier, and XORNGX. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Anyways, we are going through how to use DebRecovery and reel shoots in your career mode to save some money, stay in the black. We're going to recover the lifter, we're going to recover the kicker, we're going to get paid for those two stages as opposed to stock KSP where that's just money down the drain. So that's what we're doing. Hi. I'm almost sure that's not how you pronounce an H with a bunch of I's after it. Anyways, first checkpoint past 5,000 meters, 1,600 meters per second. 1,600? 160 meters per second. Next checkpoint, 10,000 meters, 250 meters per second. Going through the clouds there. I love those clouds. I've got the link to that mod down in the channel description, that Better Atmospheres mod that has the clouds and the shadows of the clouds. So cool. Here's our gravity turn. Lean her over to 45 degrees. Slowly but surely pull in that green prograde marker. Tap it in. Just tap it in. Yeah, I probably should run full throttle till I get over 100 meters per second, but I just run it at 1.7 off the launch pad when I haven't already designed the lifter that way. We've got extra delta V in this design anyways, so we're doing a easy to remember orbital or a launch profile as opposed to a perfect orbital profile. There's our 50,000 meters. You'll love this one. Now we're just going to turn and burn. Almost straight to the horizon. There you go. See you later stage. Here's our kicker stage. That guy, remember, once he gets under 23,000, he's going to get recovered. Go ahead and put as much of this into orbital velocity as we can. Let's split the difference here. And we're going to want to orbit at 80. So let's raise this up to 80. There's 70. Again, using that LVT-45 as our kicker here. Wow, there's 80. Meh, close enough. Go plan our maneuver node. Yep. There we go. Put on the apoaps. Thank you, precise node. Add more delta V. Add more delta V. There's our periaps. There was our flip. Meh. 82, 81. That's good enough. That's close enough. Burn's going to be 790 meters per second to circularize that orbit. That's awesome because that means our kicker is going to fall back and we will continue to circularize the orbit, actually create the orbit, I guess, using the rest of our stage. So let's see here. There's that burn in minute 15, 21 second burn, so that's an 11 second halving. Let's fast forward till we get to 11 seconds. There we go. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and at 11 seconds, throttle up, engage the kicker, and let's make this orbit a circle. Bored? Bored? Well, thank you at least for specifying that you're not bored with me. Jeez. Later on tonight, we are going to be doing the free play thing where we launch rockets for fun and profit. But this is the Kerbal Space Academy session, like I talked about earlier. There we go. Circular orbit, circular enough. DebRecovery catch anything yet? No. Let's go see if we can't find that first stage. There it is right now. Oh, it just disappeared. We just barely saw it disappear right there. So we should have a message from DebRecovery. We've just lost this guy. Yeah, he's got a ways to go before he, In fact, what is his... I guess you can't see his periaps. Is he coming into the planet? Yeah, he's coming into the planet. Alright, that's cool. Hey, TrainCom, what's going on? We're doing a Kerbal Space Academy session on recovering your stages using the DebRecovery mod. So long story short, stock KSP, you lose the money for those lifters and kicker stages. You install DebRecovery, you put some chutes on your stage, and you actually get the money back. Funny you should ask, because I just got a message up here in the upper right from DebRecovery. Where the debris landed safely, let's click it. And it says, hey, this thing landed at 4.34 meters per second. That's awesome. And we got 7873 back. So, We got 7.8, 7.3 back. That's what I like to see. It gave us 83% of our stage because we landed a little ways away from Kerbal Space Center, and that came out to the 82, basically 83%. So all those parts, this was our lifter stage. Because we had that real chute in there tuned correctly, this thing landed safely. 4.34 was a little bit slower than it needed to, but we got that 8,000 credits back just because we put chutes on there, and just because we had the DebRecovery mod installed. This guy's going to deorbit pretty soon. Let's go ahead and trash that, and we'll fast forward till he deorbits. What's his altitude? Set him as the target so he stays. And let's fast forward till he deorbits. Again, he is going to disappear when he gets under 23,000 meters. Any craft that's in atmosphere and goes under 23,000 meters on Kerbin will be cleaned up by the game. DebRecovery is going to catch that, intercept it basically, and when he boop disappears, DebRecovery gives us a message. Message says, landed safely. Remember, I tuned it for what? 5.5, and it actually landed it at 5.48. That's awesome, because it landed a pretty good ways away from KSC. We only got 57% back. Still, that's $2,251 we would not have had otherwise. Let's write that down. And back to our craft. Oops, I screwed this up. Yay, verily. There we go. Turn the debris off. Again, to get that thing at the top, I'm just hovering over the top. Such a cool trick. We good on electric charge? Yeah, we're good on electric charge. That's fine. Let's do a goo experiment. I don't think we're going to get anything for it. Woohoo! 0.5 science. Inform the men. Alright, and then we will go ahead and do our deorbit calculation. Where are you at? I'm loving the mod. Where's KSC? Oh, KSC's going to be in the daytime this time. I like it. And I've been trying to... What did we do last time? I tried to deorbit from here, the coast, and I set the impact point at the beacon over there, like that. And that put us way out in the middle of the ocean. So this time, let's put it halfway through the ocean. We're guest testing and revising here. Halfway through the ocean. That's looking a little bit better. Alright, let's let me see here. It looks like I just got a question over there in the chat. So let me set this up and make sure I'm good to go. Yeah, I'm good to go on all that stuff. I'm not going to run out of electric charge. Let me check the chat. Today, train come. Just gonna first day of school tomorrow. Nice. First day of school. My condolences, but nothing wrong with school. Asked a question. What is the use purpose of Kerbal Engineer? Ah. I keep saying this. I talk about Kerbal Engineer a lot. I love Kerbal Engineer. It gives you lots of flight-related information. So here, instead of going to map view, I can see my time to apoapse, my apoapse, my periapse. How round is my orbit? How wacky is my orbit? How tilted is my orbit? And I can also see information about the vessel, how much delta V I have, what my thrust to weight is. I can see surface conditions, like what biome I'm currently flying over. Currently flying over the, let's see here, Highlands biome, it looks like. What my altitude is, difference in the sea level versus terrain. So this is just all information that you can use while you're flying. You can also use it in the VAB, because in the VAB you can use it when you design your rocket to make sure you've got enough delta V to go where you're going. Doesn't matter if you're trying to just get into orbit, trying to get to the moon or Minmus, or trying to do an interplanetary transfer. As long as you know how much delta V you need for your task, Kerbal Engineer can tell you whether or not you have that much delta V. So I'm a huge freaking fan of Kerbal Engineer. In fact, I do sessions on using Kerbal Engineer, and again, that's going to be a session later this week. I say that so much, I'm really going to need to put up a schedule of what I'm planning when, so that you can sign up for the sessions or whatever and remember when we're going to be doing sessions on something that you're interested in. But Kerbal Engineer, I love it. It's in the must-have mods list down in the channel description. You should definitely check it out. Let us fast forward 17 minutes so that we can hiccup in today. I don't know what other thing I'm running that's making me hiccup. I think it's just the number of craft I have flying in this. I've got something like 50 or 60 missions active in this career mode. Alright, so let me make sure that I line up with my burn. It's going to be somewhere around retrograde, because we're coming on home. There we go. No worries, I'm just saying that I do talk about it a lot. I am not giving you a hard time. MechJev does that too. I made the decision when I started playing KSP years ago to go with Kerbal Engineer and to not go with MechJeb. I have never installed MechJeb, I've never used it for anything. I'm going to say this because I believe it to be true, and I don't feel bad about saying things that I believe to be true. I like to feel like I'm a pretty science-inclined person. I wanted to learn, I wanted to understand how all this orbital mechanic things worked, because my actual training is in computer programming, and so I didn't install MechJeb. I didn't want it to play the game for me. And I feel like one of the reasons I know a pretty good deal about how everything works is because I didn't use MechJeb. It's never performed a rendezvous with me. Every single rendezvous I've ever done in this game, which probably number in the thousands, I have planned and accomplished on my own. Same thing with landings, same thing with going to orbit. I've done it all by the seat of my pants. And I have a feeling that that may have something to do with why. Did I not move the node again? I'm such a noob. I'm just sitting here talking about how many freaking flights I've done, and I once again was running my mouth instead of moving the node. Whatever. Let's see, where are we? That's about the middle of the ocean. We're a little bit back, so that means that our orbit's going to be a little bit more shallow. Let's go a little bit more out into the ocean because of that. There we go. Alright, so anyways, I never installed MechJeb. I learned all of this myself by looking at the equations or looking at the information on how this stuff works. I definitely also watched quite a few number of YouTube videos when I was first getting into the game. But never done MechJeb. Not really my style. I mean, if it's your style, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not the type that would say, oh, you're an idiot for using MechJeb, you'll never learn anything. Hey, whatever. I mean, whatever you want to use to play the game, but my personal decision was not to use MechJeb and fly all the missions myself. Back in the day, the first time I did a rendezvous, I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know what the nav ball meant. I didn't know what this little green thing on the nav ball meant. I didn't have anything installed that would help me rendezvous. And I did my first orbital rendezvous just by looking at the target flying around me and trying to kill my relative velocity by looking at it. I was able to do a rendezvous that way. Maybe maybe we should do that. Maybe one of these rendezvous sessions I should say, what do I do if all my instrumentation has failed? I don't have a nav ball. And all I can do is look out the window and try to rendezvous with the craft. It would be really difficult to rendezvous in IVA. With no information, no map view, no nothing. That would be a very difficult rendezvous. I'm not sure I could do it without the map to get me at least close. So anyways, we're going through our re-entry here. I could definitely do it without the nav ball. Although the relative velocity would be good to have. I think we could get a rendezvous done even if we didn't know the relative velocity. We couldn't set the thing as a target, and we couldn't look at the nav ball at all. An eyeball and a stopwatch. We were talking about that earlier. When they did the moon landing, they had a gradient, like a scale etched on the window, and they were calculating their rate of descent just by stopwatching how fast a rock would take to pass the different bits on the different markers on the gradient scale. I mean, that is a real thing. Let's deorbit this thing. I'm talking a lot. I'm not flying as many rockets. And I think I have about 7 more minutes here in the stream. So another 7 more minutes, I'll take a break, and then I'll come back and do free play, and we'll launch Wacky Rockets again later. Let us see. Still coming in pretty high, it looks like. I'm not sure how. Maybe we're going to start biting into that atmosphere. It doesn't really feel like we're going to bite into the atmosphere enough. Yeah, there's KSC already. Let me go ahead and do the same thing I did last time, which is burn straight down. Let's see how that affects us. Oh, look at that. Look at that. It's definitely sucking us in. And I definitely want to land... Ow! I think we're going to land a little bit short of KSC here. Maybe we can parasail. Ooh, ouch. Heat shields. Yeah, I don't have deadly reentry. We don't use heat shields. There we go. Jeez, as long as I don't come down to the freaking mountain range. I'm going to land short of KSC, I know that. I just didn't want to land in the water again. And we still have more. We can fly. Let's fly some. See if I can't. Remember, we calculated it with a dry mass anyways. There we go. I basically just made it so that I would have a little bit more going for me. Yeah, stock KSE, no heat shields. Would have to have deadly reentry to do that. Which I do plan on installing deadly reentry and doing things with heat shields at some point. I don't know if I'll do it in my career save here because I've got a couple of big fuelers. Wow, I'm way short this time. Anyways, I got a couple of big fuelers that rely on the fact that what is that? Did you look that up online? Yes, Google define heat shields. I've got a couple big fuelers that require no deadly reentry. I don't think I could get them back in with deadly reentry turned on. Anyways, we're under 5. Let's pop that real chute. There's another thing you get with real chutes. I've got kind of the old Apollo style 3 chute as opposed to the single chute like we used to have. That was one of the things you could configure in real chutes. Oh yeah, let's run the experiment. Observe mystery goo. Anything? Hey look, 7 science. Wow. Keep data. What about you, EVA? You got a crew report maybe? Meh, nothing. So let's see here. Let's turn SAS off and we'll just let the chutes bring us down. And this time, since we've got the real chutes on it, I think we're going to save that engine. So again, that's going to skew the results of our experiment just a little bit. Maybe I can subtract it. If you're really missing it, Solid Wager, you know you can go into Alt F12 and you can create a rescue mission. I mean, I know Alt F12 is referred to as the cheat menu, right? But I kind of feel like if you just haven't seen that mission in a while, because of the bugginess with the mission controller and the way it gives you things, I wouldn't really feel too bad about going in there and having it pop a rescue mission for me. That's up to you what you want to do with it, but it is always an option. So, we're going to land this guy just fine. Let's go ahead and fast forward down until we just about land, and we don't fast forward through landings. There we go. And we're good to go. We've recovered our craft. Now, I'm going to need to subtract the cost of this engine from our recovery. So, let's do recover vessel and see what we got back. And then I'll do the math on this one again. Alright, 7.5 science. Woohoo! I've already unlocked the entire tech tree here. Here we've recovered 5525 funds. So let's write that down. 5525, and we need to subtract what that engine was because I've destroyed that engine more than once. Where are you at? LV909 was 723. So I'll just write minus 723, which actually gets us just around 4,800 that we would have recovered from that craft. So let me see. Let me see what we've got. The cost of that mission. Oh, what's our funds? 2440052. 2440052 is our ending funds after this mission. So let's see here. Trusty dusty calculator says 2445222 minus 2440052 equals $2,444. But I do need to do the cost of that engine, which was 723, so plus 723. That means the first time we did this engine, the first time we did this mission without DebRecovery and without any chutes on our stages, This mission cost us 15,000 funds to accomplish. 15,000 funds was the cost of that mission. When I did it just using stock shoots, the cost of the mission dropped down to 7,000 funds. So just DebRecovery and stock shoots, we were able to save 50% of our freaking sunk mission costs by recovering those stages. But when I used DebRecovery and real shoots, this entire freaking mission cost me 2,500 credits. So instead of wasting 15,000 credits, I was able to accomplish the exact same mission at a cost of only 2,500 credits. And honestly, if I had put a single experiment on there, if I had picked up a single test something in orbit, over here, that's in flight. Yeah, all I have is in flight. There's a suborbital trajectory. We could have done that one. But if I had done a single contract, almost our entire mission would be profit because the cost was only 2,500. Anyways, let me get cut. What is this? Soul wager? Nah, he's not rich. I used to have 10 million credits, and then I started launching rockets that cost 2 million credits per launch to put the orbital fuel rotor in the Epic 5 fuel delivery drones up there. And I just haven't gone back and bothered to farm any more money. I figure 2 million is just about the amount that I need to keep in the bank so that I can launch any of the rockets I've made. But sometimes when you fire up those missions that cost you 1.8 or 2 million funds, you don't want to have to spend an hour going around and farming money just so that you can launch one of your missions. But yeah, definitely not rich. Using real shoots and DebRecovery makes it a lot easier to save that money, though. I'm going to open it up to the chat over there. We've gone through a lot of different stuff. I've been streaming here for about 2 hours. Were there any questions? I've got links to real shoots and DebRecovery down in the channel description. What else is there? If anybody needs any other questions, maybe something I didn't cover, something that I didn't go over or I skipped over too quickly, anything else you want me to show? There are some features of real shoots that I glazed over, things like changing the parachute material or changing some of the other more advanced features. There's some drogue shoots in there. There are things that are both a drogue shoot and a landing shoot. There is definitely a lot more to real shoots than I covered in this. You know something, let me save this. And I think while we're talking about it, I can load up one of my big craft where I recover millions of funds by using real shoots and DebRecovery. I think that would be the... Where is it at? It's the AFD Epic 5 fixed, or is it the Epic 4? The Epic 4 release candidate 1. Let's have a look at that guy. Precise Node. Precise Node is a mod that allows you to have a lot more fine control over maneuver nodes that you create. So it actually allows you to change the node in specific increments, like increments of 1 or 0.1 or 10 meters per second. Or you can just type stuff in. So if you want to create a node where you burn, let's say prograde 500 meters per second delta V and normal 30 meters per second delta V, you can actually type those numbers into Precise Node in the window right there in map view and use that to calculate your node. Precise Node is really helpful whenever you're doing interplanetary transfers. So if you use like the interplanetary transfer calculators and you get the phase angle and you get the time that you need to execute the burn and the amount of prograde, normal, anti-normal, or radial, anti-radial burn that you need to do, you can type those numbers into Precise Node straight off of the interplanetary transfer calculator, and if you execute that burn from what you've typed into nice Precise Node, you'll be really close to getting that interplanetary transfer. I like Precise Node because I think the whole drag and click thing. What were we doing here? Oh yeah, this was the new one. This was the Epic 4. Interesting. Yes. Anyways, hope that answered your question on Precise Node. As an example of what you can do with real shoots and DebRecovery, this was making things a little bit more efficient. The goal of this rocket is to deliver these 4 Kerbodyne 14400 tanks to orbit full. So get them on up into orbit and deliver them to the space station just using the fuel in these middle tanks. But this entire rocket is optimized using reel chutes and DebRecovery. So these backs on the side, they're chutes. I did the exact same thing. I took them over into another thing. I tuned the reel chute to recover them. I came back here, put them in subassembly, put them on the rocket. These quad clusters, I've got 6 of the quad clusters on the side. Same